And I put in there, if we're not really careful, we could see American troops used against American citizens. And so we're real close to that. Now, we need to keep a real close eye on this rage that's going on right now.
Oh, absolutely.
This revolt and rage and disappointment. We need to understand that the church needs to start praying about all of this kind of things. These demonstrations, here's what the Lord told me. He said, we're one bullet away from civil war in our nation. We're one bullet away from civil war and a death plague like you can't believe. And so you and I need to be praying. One of our number one prayers right now, we need to be praying for the safety of our present-day president. We need to pray for his safety. The worst thing that could happen would be an assassination.
That's right. Because it'd bring anarchy into the streets. But we need a government that becomes a government instead of anarchy in the streets. And I saw this anarchy was not the poor. It was the middle class. I believe the Tea Party has been those that's gone to the streets as the Lord would have them to go. But if the nation don't hear that, there'll be a group that go to the streets. There'll be anarchy. There'll be riots in the streets. And the police will not break them up. They don't want anything to do with it. And this is not the poor, but these are the middle class that's lost hope. The hope is that the church comes together and stop this. Because I don't like the thought of anarchy in the streets. If anarchy comes in the streets, you just have to stay in the house at different times. This nation is going, like Bobby said, this blue angel is with this nation. It's strange that he hadn't revealed himself recently. Now he's revealing himself to the prophets. He wants this nation to survive. This nation can fall overnight and become a third-rate nation. I don't believe this is God's plan. God's plan is that this nation do the things they were called to do in the first place. To go into all the world and take the natural grain for food and the spiritual grain for salvation. And doing the signs and wonders that honors the Father. Well, the remnant is going to do this.
One of the things that's going to be taking place is something in one of our American cities. There's going to be so many riots in this city that something is going to be happening. It's going to be destructive in nature. Buildings are going to collapse. And I'm not saying like the World Trade Center, but it could be even more devastating than that through a dirty bomb or something along those lines. What I saw didn't indicate exactly what was going to take place, but I did see as a result the riots that would take place, and I heard this. Jeremiah 22:8 is going to be spoken over this city. Jeremiah 22:8 says this, "And many nations will pass by this city, and every neighbor will say unto themselves, why has the Lord allowed this to happen to this great city?" Every nation, every neighbor will say unto his neighbor, why has the Lord allowed this to happen to this great city?
But the other day, a couple weeks ago, I was in prayer at my house. I've never had anything like this happen. I am praying, and right in front of me is a full movie screen. I've never had this happen. I've heard about it before. I stare. I don't know what's happening. I'm in a room by myself. I go, it's on the wall. It's like 3 by 3 feet. What was the vision? Real simple. Tanks were coming in mass across America. And I look at that and I said, Lord, what does this mean? I didn't get anything. I just saw it. I just want to tell you what I saw. Tanks were coming in mass across America. Surely it's martial law.
I love my nation. I love America. And not just because it's America, but because I think of what God's intention was through our forefathers to produce a nation whose government was the people, by the people, for the people. And that we have surrendered that. and let it slip through our grasps, and have succumbed to strong-willed men operating under demonic power who are after power and control. And what they really want is more power and control. So I just say that to us, that, you know, these things we could head straight into, and I've seen this over the past 20 years, we could be headed straight into a civil war. You know, some of the things I was shown in our cities were nothing short of civil war. And the police force didn't have the power, the manpower, some of that because of economics and the decimation of city police forces because of economics. National Guard couldn't quell it. Mainline military forces of the United States were doing battle in our city streets against its people. You know, those are the potentials that I saw. I've never said this publicly. I've talked very small amount about it privately, mostly to those, my nearest friends who I trust. And, you know, I'm glad to say to you it doesn't have to happen. But I'm also concerned when I say to you I don't see anything right now preventing it from happening. And there's a trigger mechanism in the enemy's heart to trigger it. And the next few months will be crucial for our nation.
Down, one thing's going to happen in America is the American dollar is going to lose its value very quickly. What do? How do we buy stuff? Well, in World War II, we basically went off the dollar and did it pretty fast, and it worked pretty good. Went to credits, and we went to, you know, everything was being rationed back then. They went to these ration coupons and all, and the system actually, they changed over to that pretty quick. But I believe something's going to hit, and we're going to be subject to up to 3 months. I believe some places less time, some a little more, but right around 3 months of real confusion and disorder, chaos, and some places lawlessness, just out of control. People are just screaming, don't know what to do, and they sometimes can act like animals when that happens. We need to be prepared. It's going to be some really intense times. Then it's going to stabilize. And if we have the right people in the right places, and the church mobilized, which I think is absolutely essential, is the essential element, because the gates of hell will not prevail against the church. If the church is ready for this, we're not going to have tyranny taking over our country. We're going to stand against it. And stand up to it. We will be a part of those where people start coming to the light, and we return to our biblical foundations that our nation was built on. And I believe I have a promise that this is going to happen. We're going to save our country. And we're going to finish our purpose. And the Lord who began a good work in us, and I'm totally convinced He was engaged in the founding of our country. Not everything the way it happened was God doing it that way, but He really got involved in the Constitution and the Bill of Rights and things like this. Those who wrote them were seeking to build them on biblical foundations. They say this in their own writings, and they did it, kingdom foundations, and we have strong foundations. By diverting from them, if we had not diverted from those foundations, we would not have any of the problems we have now. I'm serious. None. We wouldn't be in trouble anywhere. No crisis in economic crisis, but we diverted. And I think the answer is, okay, let's get back to them. We have right foundations. When things hit and everything's shaken, the whole world upset, it will be an opportunity to get back to the right foundations.